Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beyond the 90. It's me, and I've got Ant with me as per usual. James has decided he wants to have a weekend off, which is completely unacceptable, and we're going to tease him about it next week. But yeah, James is not here this week, so we're just going to go through a couple of transfers and update on the ticket situation in regards to season ticket holders. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So first of all, Ben Chilwell, the rumour that's been going around since the beginning of the year that we're all sick to the back teeth with. As much as I was sick with the Maguire one, this has gone on even longer. It seems all but done now. So about 50 mil, it looks like he's going from a 65k to 150k a week, 5-year contract. And yeah, I think this is something that we've been known about for a while. And so just get your initial reactions on that. And we've known this has been coming for a while, hey?
Yeah, we've known since, well, even like it looked like it could potentially happen in January, but a deal like that's very difficult to get done in January. Like, it's the worst kept secret in football that this deal was going to happen. But for me, I'm glad it's happened early in the window, unlike the Maguire one, which happened a week before the window shut. So it gives us time to bring in a replacement, which I think we're going to talk about later on during this podcast of who that might be. But I think it's the best deal for everyone because he wants to go to Chelsea. There's sort of no hiding that. You can see it sort of every time he sort of plays since January. His heart hasn't fully been in it, and his head's been turned. And for Chelsea, I know that it's a big fee for what you get in with Chilwell, but there is a huge amount of potential there, and I think he'll thrive under Frank Lampard, sort of in an attacking team. Not that we haven't been attacking, but sort of more with the setup of like the bigger players, bigger club and stuff. I think he'll do well.
I do too. I think if Frank Lampard has got the best out of players like Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham, have got them absolutely firing. That's obviously from a forwards perspective because Frank Lampard's an amazing midfielder, creative midfielder as well. So it will be interesting to see what happens. I think if he can get him charging forward towards the defence, like we know we can do, kind of breaking lines and pushing towards the middle, I think we'll get the best out of him. But we've just got to get somebody in replacement because I think George Thomas isn't quite good enough, to be honest, to kind of come in. And it's a hell of a lot of pressure. Fuchs can't play that many games. So on to the next transfer, which is kind of on the back of the Ben Chilwell. We've got Tagliafico, which I think somebody mentioned when we did our defenders, when we were looking at defenders, how to improve our defence. I can't remember. I don't think I said. Did you say it?
It was either me or James. It was one of the ones I written down, but I don't know if I said it or not.
Yeah,
But
I think I remember that name being banded about. But yeah, it looks like there's a £40 million Leicester increased to buy him from Ajax for 40 million. So I've seen a lot of Leicester fans on Twitter absolutely screaming, "Get this guy in! Make sure we get this done!" And how he's going to be the next best thing since Ricardo. But I know we've talked about it a little bit before. But do you think this is a transfer that will come through and we'll end up getting?
there's a couple of things. I've seen it's not as high as 40 million, to be fair. I've seen some reports saying it's up only 30 million. But in terms of sort of getting him in, I think it makes perfect sense because we've got a lot of young players and stuff. But with that, you need some experienced heads and stuff, people who've been there and done it. And he is that, but he's still a very good player approaching his prime years. And an example I'm going to use is Wolves and stuff. They've brought in a lot of players who sort of got that European know-how and European experience, and it's helped them this year. I don't really think we've got anyone in our squad who's got that much European experience. Yes, we have like Schmeichel and Vardy and stuff who had our campaign for us. That was only one campaign, and yes, we did incredibly well. But to be able to bring in Tagliafico, who's been in the Champions League year after year after year, is a leader in that Ajax team, I think it's only going to be a good thing. It's sort of like it. It's I know Moutinho's a complete different position, but it makes me think of that in terms of sort of a player who's been there, done that, a leader, and someone who the youngsters can learn off.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. And I think it's the right move because at the beginning, a lot of the players that we've will probably come on to as well have been that similar kind of value of a young player potential moving up. And this seems like kind of the opposite. But at the end of the day, we do need a little bit of experience. And we've had that in Johnny Evans, but I think we'll come on to Johnny Evans a bit later as well. But that kind of signing where you know what you're getting is proven. It's going to be a bit more expensive, but we're still going to, if we get him in, it will be our kind of signing of the window from what it looks like as well. But I think it'll be a really good signing. But I'm just thinking as well, 3 positions for that left back position. I think potentially what they'll do is if we get him in, we'll drop Fuchs into like the center, like the left of a back three. So he's kind of lost his pace a little bit more, kind of like a Azpilicueta position. So that's why I'll say, because obviously having three left backs will be a lot. But I'm still thinking, Tagliafico for me would be a great buy as well. And I think, as you were saying, it's a leader that we kind of need in that position, because right back, Ricardo's got it 100%. Then if we can get him in, and then Luke Thomas to play just behind that as kind of as a James Justin did, to kind of somebody to mentor and we get in the squad and see if we can build him up. It could be a brilliant player. But yeah, for as if you said 30 mil, I think that's a great price. I think we paid 25 for Ricardo, so we obviously can spend the money in that position.
The thing is, as well, mentioning Ricardo, we've seen how important sort of he is getting forward for us, and how much sort of the right and left backs are sort of key creators as well as defenders for us.
Yeah.
So it's massively important that we get this replacement right, because if we don't bring in the right person, then we lose a huge avenue of attacking, which obviously Brendan Rodgers is very keen on using.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that, because in a certain extent, we got kind of lucky with Suanchu to a certain extent, because we couldn't bring in, we looked at bringing other people, Ake and Tarkovsky and stuff like that, and they just didn't fit the bill, or they charged too much money. And then we ended up relying on Suanchu as a 22 mil investment. But overall, but then it paid off with Suanchu. But the thing is, I'm thinking as well, how many times can we keep doing this through the window before we get absolutely screwed like Southampton did? So it's only a matter of time.
The thing is with Siunchu as well, we were looking to buy another centre back, and there's talk that he was going to go out on loan to Galatasaray or someone in Turkey. So, as much as I really like Siunchu, we've been very fortunate this season that it turned out the way it did. Because if he hadn't been the level that he had, this season would have been completely different.
Yeah, for sure. And he would have been, I think we'll talk about it on our awards, how he's like our most improved player, and the fans believe it as well. But he's just come on leaps and bounds. Speaking of Siunchu and Turkey, we've got another player that's linked with us recently, which is 20-year-old Ozan Kabak from from Schalke. So 40 million, 3 goals, 1 meter 86. His contract expires in 2024. Liverpool are also interested in him as well, as kind of a backup to as a replacement for Lovren. And he just looks like a really decent buy. And obviously with the Turkey connection with Siunchu, that'll probably help us a little bit as well. But I think you were mentioning off camera as well that this signing would be decent, but at the same time, it's kind of out of our price range a little bit.
The thing is, I think if we bring in Tagliafico, that will be our marquee signing, we're not then going to go and spend 40 million on someone else. I think if we bring in Tagliafico, we still need to be looking at another centre back, but maybe not someone of this price range. I'd say potentially sort of another youngster. Someone that I talked about before is Aya from Celtic or someone like that, who would be sort of in between 15 and 20 million. Because as much as I'd love Kabak, I think he's a brilliant player. Not going to say that I've watched a huge amount of the Bundesliga, but what I have seen of him, he's very sort of commanding at the back. He's quite vocal and loud for a 20-year-old to have that sort of level of leadership's a good thing. But it seems very sort of a very unlikely deal to get done if we get Tagliafico, and replacing Chilwell has to be the priority over bringing in a third choice centre back.
For sure. No, I definitely agree there. I think that one thing that I think you were mentioning with Ayer as well is that he's not just commanding from the back, but we're lacking goals from set pieces. We've only really scored goals from set pieces when the defense have been absolutely terrible. And that's one area that I feel like we need to get better at for sure. So Johnny Evans, I think, has had a lot of opportunities to put away that he's just kind of scuffed. And Suncho hasn't had too many, but he's missed a load of opportunities. And that's a position that I think we need to kind of strengthen in. But I agree. I think for Kabak, he'd be a great investment, but I can't see us spending the 40 mil that's been bounded around, even though I think that's a lot of money. But do you think that's just the way that the transfer window is working as well? Like playing for Schalke, 20 years old, 40 mil, he's not got the best record on paper, but is that just where the transfer window is going, just with the amount of money that's being bounded around?
I almost feel like it's sort of what we did with Maguire. We knew he wasn't worth 80 million, but if you want him, you have to pay over the odds for him. And I sort of think that's what they're doing. But at the same time, this is where I think I was talking to James about this the other day. This is where missing out on Champions League is really going to hurt us, Because if we got Champions League, we'll be going for players like Kabak, Tagliafico, probably Ben Rama, no problem. But now we've got to just be that little bit smarter in the transfer market and look for a couple of deals.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree there. Just moving on to another transfer rumor, just looking at this morning with Jonathon Ikone from he was born in, well, he came up through a PSG youth, currently playing for Lille, 22 years old. Apparently, from transfer market, is rumored at about £23 million. Is a winger or a cam position. It's like a dribbly kind of person but is just not putting as many goals. And if he can sort out his finishing, he seems to be a decent-ish buy. But yeah, 28 appearances, 3 goals. It looks like we are trying to strengthen in the positions that they have identified that we need like a Mahrez-like replacement. If he's going to be that, we'll have to see. But overall, is that something? Because I know that at the moment, David Brooks has seemed to have gone a bit quiet. And this apparently that we've put a bid in, but they've not saying how much. Is this a kind of player that we'd need to bring in?
I'd rather keep Demarai Gray than waste 20 million on someone who's not doing it in the French league. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, the French league is a lower standard than the Premier League. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. And we saw Pepe absolutely tearing it up in the French league, and he's struggling in the Premier League. So if we've got going to bring in someone who playing for the same team that Pepe was, who's struggling to make an impact in France, what chance does he have in the Premier League? I think I'd rather us invest that money in someone like David Brooks, Deulofeu, Ismail Assar, someone like that than someone who, in the end of the day, is going to be a complete gamble if it works.
Yeah, I think we've done it in the past with players like Ghazal and stuff like that from the French league, but it just doesn't seem to pay off. I think they had a really good, obviously getting carried away with Mahrez, with Knockaert getting him from the division from the French leagues and stuff. I think they've got a bit carried away, but overall, I'm with you. I think there's a bit of a gamble. We know what Demarai Gray can do. I don't think we can get that much out of him, to be honest, any much more. But I think he's good for another year, and I think in Europe, I think he'll be a great player. Is there any other rumours that you've seen?
Before we go on to any other rumours, going back to the thing about Demarai Gray, I don't think Demarai Gray is the answer, but I think bringing in Ikone is just bringing in sort of another player very similar to him that we'll just be frustrated at, seeing the potential and then a lack of end product. Because I haven't watched a huge amount of him, but obviously I don't know if I know quite a few people do it, but when you get linked to a player, you have a little look on YouTube of what they're all about and kind of thing. But the amount of chances and sort of like stupid decisions he makes, I don't know. He doesn't seem like the kind of player we should be going for, in my opinion. But saying about any other rumours, I've seen that David Brooks' name's still not going away. I think that's about it, isn't it? Really, it's quite quiet.
Yeah, there's not been too much. I think all the attention just so far has been on Chilwell and just so many rumours that are going about. I think because, especially since he's got into the England squad and he's now like England's main left back in that position, it means that people just tend to take that as the main thing that people are worried about this season. And it kind of, the reason why we've not touched on it before is because we've done about 5 different videos on it, to be perfectly honest, on 5 different parts of it. And not just us, but the entire Premier League. Like we've had people like Neeks come on before, and he was asking about Chilwell, and it just seems to be worn into the ground. But yeah, I think the only other thing that we have at the moment is the season ticket situation, which has been announced. So the government have decided from October 3rd and 4th, and I'll try and, for the YouTube listeners, I'll try and leave a link in the description to the full LCFC article. It will be a fixed price of £70, and for that it will be so the season ticket will be non-automatically renewed. So if you are a season ticket, make sure you renew it on Monday the 24th of August. So it'll be via a ballot. It will be obviously a reduced capacity, but LCFC haven't mentioned exactly what capacity. I think it's at 10 to 15% from what I've heard, but they're not giving exact numbers. And it will be, so of that 10 to 15%, it will be 90% capacity of season ticket holders. So, I mean, it'll be different. It'll be good to get people in the grounds and stuff like that. But I mean, I think this is the most sensible thing they could do. Again, there's loads of little caveats and stuff like that. So I recommend that everybody read the article that came out, the LCFC. It's a big wordy one, to be honest, depending on your tier and all this kind of stuff. And they've obviously done their research into it, but I don't want to know what your thoughts are, because at the end of the day, I'm even though I'm not a season ticket holder, I know that Leicester always have their fans' interest at heart, but I think they've done it the right way, because it's such a difficult situation to really deal with.
The thing is, the one thing I don't agree with is the non-refundable £70, particularly during sort of a period where a lot of people are going to be struggling financially, because you could be paying 70 quid and then not getting into any game kind of thing. So it's a tough one, but it's what I think we've said it before. Whatever happened, they were going to upset someone.
Yeah, I think so. And it's something that the ballot thing will be interesting, because obviously depending on the tiers and stuff that you've got and the season ticket. So we'll have to see how that happens. But I think it will happen more as we go along. But I'd just recommend all season tickets to the season ticket holders just to make sure you apply by Monday the 24th, because again, they're not being renewed. So make sure you get on that ASAP. But other than that, I think that's pretty much what I've got. Because the rumours and everything have been quite quiet this week. It's all, as I was saying earlier, just been on Chilwell. But the David Brooks one, I think I want to come back to, because I think he's a kind of winger that is... Everybody's kind of sniffing around, but nobody's actually put in a firm bid. And I think you look at somebody like Bournemouth that have gone down. I think they are willing to sell if people are coming in for the right price. What price do you think we could... What would tempt him away from Bournemouth, or Bournemouth would accept?
I think they want 30 million, but I reckon if you sort of dangle around 20 and stuff, and he starts to push through the move, because the thing is, as much as Brooks is sort of, he talks about liking Bournemouth and stuff, he doesn't want to be in the Championship. Like, he wants to be playing Premier League football. So if we put a £20 million bid in and sort of I don't want to say make him force the move, because I feel that's quite disrespectful to the club, but make him sort of know that there's interest there. I think we could lower their price, but at the same time, we've got to be careful doing that with clubs like United interested in him, because United will probably happily pay 45 million. So you've got to be careful. But I do think sort of in between 20 and 25, we could get the deal done as long as we act quickly.
I think so too. And also, I'm hoping that we get this. All the deals should be done before the Chilwell deal, which I kind of understand why they're not doing, because we've seen what happened with Maguire last year. We charged 80 mil. We got it up front, and we know that other clubs went, right, we're going to raise our prices. And I just don't want that to happen again, because we are lacking in certain positions. And with Europa League coming, we haven't really strengthened. We've got no signings so far. So we've not even, and one thing as well, they've not even announced Maddison's new deal, because apparently that was rumoured at the beginning, towards the end of the season, before when the Man United game happened. And then after that, it kind of went a bit quiet.
There was first talk of that in January, though, weren't they, that he signed a new deal, and then sort of nothing else gets reported. And it's like, it's one of those, I don't know if they're waiting to sort of undo it, reveal it in one go kind of thing, like with a new away kit, which I find really strange, the fact that that's on Adidas's website, but it hasn't been announced by the club yet. But I don't know, it's a strange one, but it's one of those, if we keep waiting and keep waiting, all these like players that we're linked to, they'll be going to other clubs, and then we're going to be panic buying. So as much as people are saying like be patient and stuff, like it's a game that you've got to be quick in, otherwise you'll be regretting it. Because it happened last year. We took our time, and that because we were monitoring, what's his name? It's gone to Watford, Ismail Assar.
Mm-hmm.
We were monitoring him, showing interest. And then next thing you know, he's at Watford. Like, that could easily happen if we keep doing it again. And then we're going to be in the same situation where we panic buy someone, and then we're going to be deadwood and just taking money away from a club.
Or be 14 seconds late and won't play till January, as we found out with Silva.
Yeah. Mentioning Silva, actually, I saw something about him, but would you consider giving him, if we can't bring anyone sort of in as a midfield option, would you consider giving him another chance next year with sort of the amount of games you've got in Europa League and stuff?
I think it's a good idea for the amount of money he's on, and obviously he's got experience playing in the Europa League and the Champions League. He knows what he's doing, and when he comes into that midfield, I think he's better suited for European football rather than Premier League football. And that was the kind of issue, that if you give him time and space on the ball, he seems confident. He knows what he's doing. So in Europa, I think that could be perfect because the Premier League is so quick and so aggressive and physical, and he's not really that kind of player. He likes to take his time a bit more, but command things. And when we've seen him playing in the FA Cups and EFLs, he's actually looked pretty decent as well. So I agree. I think I'd take him back. But whether his situation with Leicester is, and he's kind of been dragged through the dirt a little bit because he was rumoured to be going to Monaco. Then this happened. Then they pulled out of the deal. So he is coming back to Leicester, sorry. So it'll be interesting to see about that. And one thing I've read as well is that recently Slimani looks like he's Renee are looking to get Slimani in because I think they're in the Champions League or Europa League for the first time. And they're looking for somebody with experience to kind of lead that front line as a striker. So they're looking at bidding €8 million for Slimani. That's all we're asking for because, I mean, his price, he's only 32, but his price is absolutely tanked.
The thing is, when we brought him, I think we overpaid for him when we brought him.
Yeah.
He didn't suit what we were at the time in a counter-attacking team and stuff. To be fair, we've got a fair decent amount of money back from him from sending him out on loan to Newcastle. To who else we sent him out on loan to? Monaco, to Turkey. So we would have got a decent amount of that money back. But we didn't get what we were hoping for from him. But I think it's just like he's not a Rodgers striker, and Rodgers is very adamant of playing one style. So I think get him off the books, get sort of his wages off the books, and also get that $8 million or something, and reinvest that within the squad. So I think for Slimani, there's no way that he's going to find a way back in. But for Silva, I still think he does have a bit more of a fighting chance than what Slimani does.
No, I definitely agree. And I thought that connection would help between the Silva Slimani to try and get the ball over. But it didn't seem to play out. And one last one I think that I've seen as well this week is that Dewsbury Hall has been linked to Luton. So Luton have managed to qualify and go into the Championship. And he was in with Blackpool last year in League One and seemed to do really well. So we're going to give him on to the next stage, which is Luton. So like a lower Championship team. I think it'll be a good move for him as well. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, it's one of those in the midfield, like particularly sort of the holding midfield role where he's played. We're absolutely stacked for options with like Ndidi, Chowdhury, and then even Tielemans if we have to. Like, so for the progression of his career, I think it's better to go somewhere like Luton, play first team football. And then if he has another good year at Luton, then sort of look at making him a fringe player for Leicester.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then do basically what we did with Barnes and see what happens where he tore up the Championship a little bit more. And then we kind of took him from half a season. And I mean, we were talking about he's got the most assists in the LCFC squad within over a year and a half coming in, which is quite something, to be honest. He's still got a lot of improvement to do. But yeah, to Dewsbury Hall, I think that'll be a good one. But apart from that, I think that's anything. I think that's all the transfer rumours and stuff that I've got so far. So yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for listening and tuning in. We're going to be releasing, as you've probably seen on our channel already, more LCFC awards, so individual awards throughout the week. So I'll put them together. So make sure to tune into them. We've got like 12 awards in total to do with like best improved player, worst touch of the season, player of the season, goal of the season, like team of the season, for example. So me and LCFC Canada and James were all on that. So make sure you check that one out. But I think that's everything. Any other message from you? And
no, it's just, I think we're just waiting now for that Chilwell deal to be over the line, so then we can really sort of, well, we can turn up to the transfer window. But until then, I think it's just sitting and waiting, which I really don't like, but it's a position that we're in.
Yeah, but at least we're trying to make moves at the moment and go for other players instead of waiting and wishing for other things. But yeah, thanks to you, Ant, for joining. Hopefully James will be back next week with hosting it as usual. But yeah, with everybody, make sure you like, subscribe, follow the podcast, and we'll see you all in the next video. So good.